Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome back to the Blacktown Premier League podcast. It's not just episode 17, it's not just any other week, it's finals time. And that means I have a promise for you. When you watch two teams on the podcast this week, one of those teams won't be returning for the rest of the season. It's do or it's die. So on that happy note, let's have a look at what's happening in this week's episode.
I spent last year in reserve grade, got dropped down to there after playing 8 years in first grade. So why, I don't know, but went down there, did what I needed to do, played the first half of this season reserve grade and just fought my way back in.
Yeah, so I think that reflects me not being there as much this year. So last year we kept more clean sheet. Well, we were laughing.
Fiery. Intro music. So it's time for some confirmation from around the grounds. Of course, Kellyville Colts did not surrender their 45 goal, whatever it was, advantage on goal difference, and therefore surrender their lead on the ladder. They have won the WPL and have the best route to the grand final now, as well as being the second ever premiers of the WPL. Marion secured a 1-0 win over Doonside, as you would have seen on the match of the round in what was a strange old day at Glendenning Reserve, but it was a fun one nonetheless, and that means that they have done back-to-back hat-tricks at the 21s, reserve and first grade minor premierships. Meanwhile, we had a change at the top of the Golden Boot race on the final day of the season. So while smoker Marcus Correa was unfortunately out for the final game of the season, Fardad Sanjikani for Pons scored 7 of their 9 goals down the road against Quakers Juniors, which propelled him up into first, and not just by the skin of his teeth. No, by 3 goals, he ends the season on 25 from 18 games. Unbelievable. And deep this as well, he didn't score in 6 of the 18 games, which means he scored a lot of his goals in big and large quantities, for example, 7 in one game. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't Mr. Consistent. No, because between the times of the 4th of May the 4th be with you, and the 6th of July, he went on a scoring streak on every single one of those weekends. Yeah, that's how good he was. Let me run you through the fixtures in terms of finals and how it shapes up this weekend, so stay tuned and keep your eyes fixed to the screen. So it is 1v4 in the Women's Premier League, which means that Colts take on 4th place finishing Park Lee. Quakers Juniors will take on the form team in the comp right now, and of course the reigning champions themselves, Holroyd. Premier League 2, similar story, 1v4 there as well, which means that Polonia, who are already promoted and might technically be on the sand if you like, are taking on Oakville, who are red hot themselves. The winner of that 1v4 game will go into a grand final qualifier against the winner of 2v3, that of course being Town Rangers in 3rd place taking on Glenwood, who are very, very good too. PL1, it's a bit more complex, so really listen into this part, please. Marion, as first place, will have the week off. So in this first round of finals fixtures, it's 2v3, both teams have a safety net. 4th v 5th, which is the live-streamed match of the round, is sudden death, and that means Workers in 4th take on Creek in 5th. Doonside in 2nd take on Pons in 3rd. Marion as premiers and first place finishers will take on the winner of that 2nd v 3rd Pons v Dooney game, and then the loser of that Pons v Dooney game will take on the winner of Eastern Creek and Workers. You with me? Are you sure? It's a repeat of last year's elimination final as well. We know exactly how that went. Kurt Elbra scored inside 55 seconds to put them 1-0 up. Brandon Ford came up with the goods, who you saw in the intro to this, by the way, so you know he's fired up. He scored some 80-odd minutes later to equalise it. We went to pens after 110 minutes. And then after that game finished, we watched France lose to the Matildas on the penalty shootout in the World Cup. So that was a fantastic sequence of events. Are we going to have something as dramatic this time? Probably not. But if we get anywhere near close, it'd be good. Should we go talk to Workers? I think we should. See you soon. It's great to chat to the Workers boys again after another successful season across all accounts and from many people watching along. I'm tonight joined by Brendan Ford, by Chris Dalkeith and by Tom Guthrie, who have plenty of finals experience. We certainly know that. Now, I don't want to be the comparison as a thief of joy, right? But I do want to compare last season to this. Last season, 9 wins, 3 draws and 6 losses. It's the exact same record this year, but you moved up to 4th place because Eastern Creek got slightly less points, and the goal difference was slightly down as well. Now, by everyone's admission, this season started poorly in terms of a bit of commitment, and maybe it was a bit of a hangover from last year's great success in the grand final. But does this feel like a campaign that is exactly on par with last year's in terms of the first grade, or is it? Have there been changes that you've noticed?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty good, obviously, compared to last year. the reserve grade won, and first grade went out in the first round. But again, this is the third year in a row now we've had both teams in the finals. So it's been what we've wanted to achieve for a long time. This is my fourth final series with the club, and I've been here for 6 years. So it's been good to sort of build the team back from the start. And both grades, like finishing third and fourth, first grade won better this year. It's a much more positive, achievement. And we're just going to absolutely go at it this time. We're not going to, we don't want it to go to pens, as it's been the last 2 years. But we're just going to go all in for it because there's nothing to hold back now. It's been a long season. It's been rocky, up and down. Obviously, everyone's had injuries, all teams, and everyone's played catch-up games and so forth. So I think everyone's sort of looking forward to the final series now just to sort of see it out and go hard at this time.
Mm-hmm. Chris, I'll throw it to you for this question. Twice victors over Eastern Creek this year. Last year they didn't technically beat you. They won on a penalty shootout. And you had a win and a draw against them in the mid-season of last year as well. So they haven't beat you since they came up from the second division. You scored 4 goals against them on 2 occasions this year, and you've had their number. So is it fair to say that history suggests this is a game that tends to go Workers' way?
We've had the advantage all year. Like, we've beaten them on 2 occasions this year. We've played good football on both occasions. Like the last couple of games leading up to finals this week, we've actually kicked form a little bit with everybody in the team. Hopefully we'll just continue that going into this weekend. We know it's going to be a bit of a battle. Eastern Creek are not always an easy team to come up against. They're very good all over the park and in certain places of the game as well, with set pieces as well. We know they are good on things like corners and things like that. So at the end of the day, it's going to come down to who's going to take their opportunities, and we're just going to be the ones to take them on the day.
Tom, as a new signing this year, you were brought in, I guess, to score goals, and score goals you have. You scored against big teams and you scored in big games. How important is it for you to quite literally lead from the front as an experienced player and someone with a lot of finals experience, especially at the top end too? So are you aware of the significance of your role heading into the final series?
I think it's not just me that's aware. I think everyone's aware. I mean, as Brendan said, we've got two good squads, going in. We've got a good atmosphere here. We're all turning up today. We're all giving it our all. I've just got to match the energy of all the boys, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I'm going to keep doing.
I'll go back to you, Brandon. As someone who has scored a hat-trick against these guys this season, you scored the equalising goal right in the 80th minute of last year's first grade knockout final. You have scored in big games, huge games, especially on camera. It's not even a subjective. It's just pretty good. Yeah. But hat-trick against them this year. Let's talk about that. Pretty rare feat, I guess, for anyone to score 3 goals. So it must have been a good day for you that day.
Yeah, it's been sort of a build-up for me this end of the season. I spent last year in reserve grade, got dropped down to there after playing 8 years in first grade. So why, I don't know, but went down there, did what I needed to do, played the first half of this season reserve grade, and just fought my way back in. And the games came, scoring 2 goals a game, 3 goals a game, and so forth, and just doing my part. I always knew I could be playing back in first grade. It was just a matter of the time to do it. And, to score 3 goals is always good. Every striker wants to do it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goals, it's all the fun part of it. So, who's to say I will score 3 goals on the weekend? I don't know. I'm just going to do the best I can and, keep scoring goals. It's what I love doing. So.
Good. Now, I'll throw it to whoever wants to answer this. I want to talk about the mix between first and reserve grade. Generally, how many people from what we would consider a first grade team are available for reserve grade games going into the finals? If you could have a little think about it. I might give you a second by just rabbling on for a bit. Obviously, we've seen some great success of some good players that have had the energy to play across both grades, across multiple weekends, and it really came to help out last year. Obviously, you scored the grand final winning goal in reserve grade, and you were fluctuating between both. So generally, how boosted by first grade is the reserve grade? Because I think that's the question that people would want me to ask. Enjoy.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
I know. I've been around the traps, I suppose. Not too many. Especially this back half of the season, probably the last 9 games or so. It's been pretty separate, which is good because a lot of the guys have come back from injury, and we've copped a couple towards the end in first grade. But the reserve grade has been doing well. A couple of weeks ago, they lost to Doonside, like 7-1, and the week before that was 6-2 to Ponds, and they were really struggling at that stage as well. But since that 7-1 loss to Doonside, the boys haven't lost a game. They've been undefeated. So, and the majority of them have been playing the same team. I only can really recall the weekend just gone where we had very little numbers, just injuries and players out. Like, we can be honest, we had 7 players from first grade that had to drop down and help out, played a stint throughout the game and so forth, and then backed up and played first grade as well. So some teams do that because they're short players the whole time. But this season this weekend just gone, we had to do that because we had that many players out, and at least 5 or 6 of us played 90 minutes. So, and we ended up winning reserve grade 2-0 and first grade 1-0, even being absolutely tired. So it was just, to answer that question, we're pretty separate on the squads at the moment. So I think going into it this weekend with reserve grade and first grade, we've got to have our teams to play. And I think we've got our strongest sides going into it, really, if I can be honest with that.
Fantastic. Well said. Very last question, I'm aware of the time. Last 2 final series in first grade have ended in penalty shootout defeats. One to Dooney, who became champions. One to Creek, who were seconds away from a grand final themselves. There's a chance to do perhaps revenge, if you like, in a sudden death game this weekend. But I do want to know, you've taken one, you scored yours. But if it comes to pens, you're new to the team this year, would you put your hand up?
Oh, absolutely, I love a pen. I love a pen. It's a free shot at goal. Who wouldn't want to take a pen, I think, I think all the boys are feeling a bit more confident this year. Look, I can't speak about last year or the year before, but I feel like, the boys are ready to step up and the boys are ready to just give it their all. I mean, hopefully it doesn't come to that. We've been putting in the work, but if it comes to it, that's just how the cards have been played. That's all it is.
And with tonight as well, we've done things a little bit differently. For once, we've actually practiced a couple of pens and put the keepers to work for a little bit. So, let's see if that works out. If it does get to that, obviously it's not the ideal situation. We want to get the job done in the 90 minutes. But if it does come to that stage, I think we're a little bit more prepared now going into something like that. So, hopefully we get the job done in 90 minutes. But I'm confident with the bit of practice tonight, we can get through if we go to that stage again. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Slightly different approach in the days leading up to the biggest game of the season for both teams, both Eastern Creek and Workers. Boys, thanks so much for sticking around. I know everyone's departed, but I appreciate you guys and your time, and best of luck heading into this weekend.
Cheers, mate. Welcome back. Some fire in the belly of one of the most prominent match of the round goal scorers in its recent history, Brandon Ford. Tom Guthrie was like a steam train in the penalty shootout practice that they did. Left, right, centre, you name it, he nailed it. And hey, they've gone out twice to penalties in the last 2 years of finals. Maybe some penalty practice will help them. Will this time be different though? Well, they're going to beat the Creek contingent, the team who made the best comeback of the year so far, the team who just know how to get it done in the big games. Should we go chat to them? I think we should.
Eastern Creek, 2 years in the top division, 2 years consecutive back-to-back finals appearances. Congratulations. Now I want to bring you back down to earth straight away. It's a season where you've had Workers beat you twice, and they've pipped you to 4th place in the first grade table on the last game of the season with the game that they had in hand. And I've also just found out as well that they did so in reserve grade, so a bit of a bitter moment there. But let me bring you back up to the top again. It's something that happened last year as well. You lost and drew to them, so you had to beat them in the league, and then you went on to have that that semi-final penalty shootout victory, which was just amazing. So I don't want to ask about are you scared, because obviously you're not. I just want to talk about what are some of the tactical things you need to worry about against Workers, and are you prepared to do things right again in the finals?
Yeah, we the couple of games we played them this year, they got the better of us. It wasn't particularly things on those days went our way, but that's football, and finals is completely different. So, we've got a plan and we'll go out and have a crack, and that's all we can ask. We enjoy finals football. That's this time of the year is where we start to enjoy, and so we relax a bit, and I think it actually helps us a bit. So, so that's it.
Spud, welcome back to the podcast. We've wanted to have you on plenty of times. You've been away for a little bit. You missed the match of the round that I was there for, which was such a shame. Are you back? How are you feeling? And are we expecting to see you back at 100%?
Yeah, I'm back. Haven't played as many games this year as Danny would have liked. Apologies in advance. gone on holidays a fair bit. But looking forward to this week's game. I'm 100% ready to go. Can't wait to get started and hopefully get a win.
Mitch, I want to take you back to a couple of weeks ago, the last match of the round you guys featured on. I wish I could have been there in the flesh because I actually clicked off before you guys made your comeback. Ashlyn Govender scores an 11-minute hat-trick from the 79th to the 90th minute to clinch a 2-0 down to 3-2 comeback win over Ponds, which are your old friends and rivals and adversaries. Where does that hat-trick, that performance rank among some of the best you've seen in your time in football?
Definitely up there. It was phenomenal with Ash. The first goal we didn't even realise went in, so to score 3 in the short time that he had was outstanding. And yeah, it was well deserved.
Absolutely it was. Now I want to talk about, again, going back to the banter round that I was there for. I got the pleasure of watching Dimmy's, well, for me, the first and last game that I got the pleasure of seeing him. He went off to a very high level indeed, off to Hills. In that game, he was fantastic. He scored a boatload of goals, but you had to replace that. And there were more points for you to get in the season. You weren't secured in finals yet, and you did. So how did you replace that? I'm sure it's more than just one player, but obviously a big loss, but you went through with it just fine.
Yeah, it's hard to replicate and replace someone who's got that goal scoring knack. I wouldn't say we replaced Dimmy with a like-for-like player. We were very, very lucky to pick up Alex Morel, who has been an absolute, well, I wouldn't say godsend, but he's fitted in right into the squad. We play a few different formations just to fit the players on the day and who we're playing against, and we back ourselves. And whilst we're probably not scoring as many goals as what we did last year, I think we're a lot more solid across the park. Excluding a couple of games where we've been a bit poor. But so yeah, we're ready for finals. We're ready.
From the defenders' perspective, Spud, it's been a season where you guys have finished on a +4 goal difference, so there's been some pretty hectic games for you guys. The goal difference last year, heading into the finals, was better, but it wasn't better by much, to be fair. Talk to me about making sure that you stay focused for 90, potentially plus minutes when it is do or die sudden death.
Yeah, so I think that reflects me not being there as much this year. So last year we kept more clean sheet. Well, we were laughing. Yeah, so I think this week, just locking it up more. We've been a bit frantic, getting out of position a lot more this year. So just locking that up in the 100th minute, 110th minute, and hopefully we can get the win this week.
Very last question, and it's just an observation I have. There have been some great results. There's been a draw against Doonside. There's been wins against Ponds and Mariong this year. There's been losses to those guys as well. There have been some great games against Workers, even though they have done the double over you guys this season. I do think that Eastern Creek have the ability to play to the level of their opposition sometimes, whether there's a gear up or down. So there's been Rivo done the double over you guys. Quakers beat you recently 1-0. Heading into finals, if you do play to the level of the teams around you, that's got to be a pretty high level. So is that first of all, do you think that's a correct observation or one that needs a bit of tweaking? And if that's the case, is that a good trait to have when you're versing other good teams?
I think on our day, we're definitely up there with the best. We've proven that with some results against the top teams. Unlucky to get a couple of wins against Doonside, but I think on any day, Eastern Creek is up there with the top 3. And we're here to show it. We will.
Very last question, Danny, just off the cuff quickly. I've seen Pius turn up off to my left. He's been a fantastic signing. Really saw him come alive in the match of the round that I got to watch. Just a quick word on him.
He's exciting, frustrating, but he's also great to have around us. He does that bit of X factor. I to be honest, I think he'd be an absolute pain in the arse to mark because he's just got these long legs that seem to get in front of everyone. So he's been a good addition considering the calibre of players that we lost this year, and he's still only very young. So it's been good to have him on board.
It's amazing to think what this squad could still achieve this season. Certainly, even though you guys did finish in that 5th and final spot, there is no counting out the little creek that could. Thanks very much for doing it on the podcast and have a good training session, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, mate.
Hello again. Welcome back, Spud Polinsky, back to his jovial and brilliant footballing best, by the way. What a baller he is. Danny and Mitch Hinton as hard-working and as tight-lipped as ever. So, 5 p.m. this weekend, not 6 p.m, 5 p.m, not 7 p.m, 5 p.m, both games, 2v3, 4v5, are going live from Hannah Reserve. If you can't be there, be on the live stream to hear these dulcet tones. And until then, though, Make sure you like this video because so much effort goes into making sure that you guys have this content, and especially from the players who stick behind at ridiculous times at night to make sure that you guys are entertained. And of course, for the coaches who are involved in that as well, subscribe if you haven't already. We are getting close to 1.5k, which would be 6 times what we started with when we first started doing these podcasts. And as I now take my first breath of this rather long conjoined sentence, if you haven't liked or subscribed, leave a comment and let me know who you think is going to win. And otherwise, cue the outro music.